Good time management isn't about squeezing more tasks into your day, not at all. It's about freeing up your energy and creating space for what really matters. Hey, Boss Mama, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, MANOUCHKA Elephant, and I'm eager to talk about today's topic because something I feel so many mom entrepreneurs are struggling with, and that is our feeling of overwhelm. When you're a mom entrepreneur, you're not only carrying all the load of being a mom, being a human, being a wife, but there's that added component of being an entrepreneur. And it's not just about having ambitions and saying you're going to do stuff, it's actually finding the time to get everything done. And so, no matter how old are your kids or where you're at on your journey as a mom entrepreneur, the mental load is just so much. Of course, all of this also means that we need to take care of ourselves. We've all been in that spot where you're juggling your baby in one hand, your to-do list in the other one, and it just feel like you're about to explode. And that's why I decided to do some research on how to better manage my overwhelm or how to avoid it. How do I get things done in a way that it makes sense for me, how I want to be present for my son, but also that I don't make myself crazy and run myself into the ground. And you know it, as mom entrepreneurs, we're expected to be everything for everyone. All of that while running a business. It's no wonder that overwhelm just creeps in. And that's why today I want to unpack the why behind that feeling, share how we can manage our time better, and introduce a few ideas that will make a big difference into your days. Hey, boss mama! Welcome to the show, empowering mompreneurs to thrive in business and motherhood. Let's get started. So, looking back when I was working in a 9 to 5, or even when I was running my own business, I felt really confident about my time management skills. Like, I knew what I had to do, I knew how much time I had, and I had a lot of flexibility in how I was running my day. And that was just amazing. I really enjoyed that period because even when I was a student, like I never had that much freedom and my own deadlines and deciding how I wanted to rhythm my days and my weeks. And it was just really straightforward. But then once you add a baby into the equation, and that means diapers, feeding schedules, and when they're a little bit older, school drop offs. And in some cases, if you're like living here in Switzerland, you also need to be ready for their lunches. And that means your day isn't your own anymore. You really have to put your child's needs first. When you have a newborn, a toddler, or even a kid that goes to school, there's someone else whose schedule becomes even more important than your own. And that means you have to find better ways to do your own things, whether it's for your business or your alone time. Personally, I thought that my son would sleep most of the time as a newborn, so I just had to accept the fact that I was completely unrealistic about how I was going to spend my days, and that being a mom with a young child was really a full-time job. And yes, I had heard that before, but it's not until you actually in the trenches that you realize what it means. And so fast forward when my son turned 1 and I felt ready to get back to work full time, I actually didn't have a good system in place in terms of childcare. Yes, I already had a lot of support from my mom, and I'm lucky in that sense because even though she doesn't live just nearby, it works pretty well. But it's not the same thing as having regular childcare, regular schedules where I knew exactly when I was going to be able to focus. And so here in Switzerland, we have a system called maman de jour, daytime mom, basically. So I have Monday and Tuesday, as well as Thursday afternoons with childcare. And that means this is time that I'm really dedicated to my work. But I also have very little time throughout the week in order to get stuff done. But it's working. And that's because I reflected on creating time management systems and really prioritize. From all my conversations with other mom entrepreneurs and from my own experience, I really feel like one of the biggest issues is overwhelm. And it can come from many different directions. But one of the main culprits is just having so much to do. And that's because we're not just taking care of our little human, we're also taking care of our family, our husband, our house, and let's not forget ourselves because obviously we also need to create some time for our own well-being so that we're able to just keep going and get things in motion every day. And so the mental load is just so heavy. And that's one of the things where until you take the time to really gain some perspective and take note of how you're feeling and what are the things that are helping or hindering you, then you can't really set up systems that will support you into managing it all. And the juggle is real. It's not something that is going to be straightforward for any of us because our needs will evolve as our children and businesses grow. But basically, there are systems that we can put in place to support us. When I got back to work after my maternity leave, I was doing things the way I used to. So basically, I had my to-do list and I knew what projects I was working on, what deadlines I had set for myself. But very quickly, I realized I kept moving things from my to-do list to the next day, and that wasn't sustainable. And so one of the things that I did was to audit my time and the way that I was doing different tasks and scheduling things in my agenda. And it really made a difference because from feeling like I was underwater constantly, I managed to create a system that works for me. I went from that feeling of constant overwhelm to feeling like I know what I have to do next for my business. I know where I'm at with my to-do list and my schedule and all my bigger plans. I know where I'm at with my clients and how to manage their expectations. And it just works. And so that's one of the things that I really want to do with this show. It's share real life examples from other women and from myself on how we can do things better for ourselves so that we don't feel so overwhelmed constantly. Time management is really at the essence of how we can start to juggle everything. And so I really want you to shift your perspective because you might be like me. I used to think that time management was putting more rigor into my schedule and being very strict about how I did things or how much time I spent on tasks, but it's actually not. Here's the thing. Good time management isn't about squeezing more tasks into your day, not at all. It's about freeing up your energy and creating space for what really matters. And that's really the key because you're spending your time in a more efficient way, yes, but also on what really matters to you and to your business. The main benefit is that you'll feel less overwhelmed. That means a reduced mental clutter, clear priorities, and less decision fatigue. Time to focus on your family and yourself without guilt because you'll know that you did what you needed to do that day. And so for me, it also means that on Monday and Tuesdays, I know that I'm completely at work. Like my mind is ready before I even start. And because I know that this is my time to really grow my business and move my needle forward, it's going to make a big difference on how I feel about it. One of the things that I'm most thankful for now that I've implemented those strategies is that when I'm spending time with my child, I'm really present. Like I know this is the time I have with him right now. Later, I'm going to be doing things for my business, for myself. But right now, I can be fully present. There's no phone, there's no distractions, and I'm really with him. And it makes such a big difference. Of course, there are times when I might be doing some cleaning while he's playing or trying to use the toilet brush. Yes, that happened this morning. But basically, when I have my time for my work, I know exactly what I'm going to do. There's no more. Oh shit, what's the next thing I need to do? No, I know because I am using time management in a very efficient and wise way. If you audit how you're spending your time, you'll see a huge difference. So let's get practical. Here are 5 things you can do today to deal with your overwhelm. And as you might expect, the first one is to audit your habits. Take a hard look at how you're actually spending your time. Are you endlessly scrolling? Are you jumping from task to task without a clear plan? Being mindful of your habits is the first step to changing them. And for me, that also meant that I had to set strict boundaries with my phone. The second thing is that you must create before you consume. So if you start your day with creation, not consumption, this means you're avoiding social media or emails or TV or radio. The first thing you're going to do in your morning is to use that energy to tackle your high priority tasks or brainstorm ideas for your own business. I find that one of the best ways to do that is actually not to keep my phone in my bedroom. When I go to bed at night, my phone is outside. It's on airplane mode, and there's no way that it's the first thing I'm looking at when I wake up. For me, create before you consume, it just resonates so much. And so that segues perfectly into my next point. Control your phone. Don't let it control you. For me, my phone has been a big part of the way that I work for quite a few years now. And being in marketing and working with social media, I just see how you get captivated by your screen, and it's actually quite scary. There's a quote I've seen quite some time ago that I really love, which is, "We were freer when the phone was attached by a thread." It's just so right. When we're constantly bombarded by information, there's always a notification about a new email, a new message. There's constantly something. And so I've actually taken out a lot of notifications, a lot of sounds and beeps and buzzes. So there's as little distraction as possible coming from my phone. So none of my social media actually have notifications on. My emails neither. And I think the only ones I have are really for WhatsApp and SMS and actual calls. And even then, my phone is on silent a lot of the time. I have fewer distractions coming from my phone, and I'm able to be more present in the task that I'm doing. But I've even taken that one step further. Now, when I'm sitting at my desk because it's time for dedicated work, my phone is on focus mode. It makes a huge difference because the screen isn't going to be blinking. You're not going to get any sounds coming from it for notifications. And you're just so much calmer in a sense. So you create that bubble where you're really focused on your work and you decide that if you're going on your phone, it's not going to offer you tons of apps anyways because of the work mode. And so by setting boundaries with your phone, you're actually protecting your own peace of mind. One last thing with your phone is that you can actually set restrictions. So if you see that you're someone who tends to doom scroll on social media, and I think that's most of us because let's be honest, social media is designed to be addictive. So don't feel bad about it, it's normal. But there are ways that you can actually mitigate those effects. So setting a timer, I've set 30 minutes, where after 30 minutes on the app, it's going to tell me that I've reached my limit. I do have the option to do it again, but I can also decide to just put my phone away. And that's what I do most of the time. My fourth tip is don't work outside of work time. When you look at your week, and you've decided this is the time that you have for your work on Monday, Tuesday, etc., make sure that outside of those times, you don't work. And that means evenings too. We want to set clear boundaries between our workday and our time for ourselves or for our family, because after all, a lot of us are working from home, and it's not that simple to set a clear time limit between work time and personal time. But it's necessary for us to protect our personal time, rest, and switch off our brains. Of course, there are some times when we decide to work in the evenings. Personally, I love to work in the evening on Tuesdays because that's when my partner is not at home. And I know that once the baby is in bed, I am able to go back to my desk and get some stuff done. But that's something that I only do once a week because the rest of the time, I want to switch off, spend time with my partner, or just take a book and relax or watch a TV show. I have to set that boundary. I'm not going to be working as soon as I have a little bit of free time. And my last tip is plan me time. You might feel like the word self care is overrated, but its application is actually really important. And although in this season of life, I only have about half of my week where my son is in daycare and I'm able to get some things done for my work since becoming a mom, taking care of myself physically is something that I've actually put on the back burner quite a bit. And so for me, when it comes to having that 1 hour a week, most of the time I'll do something like a massage, a facial, or go to the hairdresser because these are things that make me feel good and that I feel like I've been setting to the side because I just didn't have the time or the bandwidth for. So there you have it. These are 5 simple things that you can do right away in order to take control of your time and feel less overwhelmed. But I know that if you're like me, you're going to want to go deeper than this because you understand that time management is a very powerful tool. So if you're ready, I've created a free webinar just for you. It's called From Overwhelmed to Organized: 5 Simple Time Management Strategies for Mompreneurs. I'll link it in the show notes. In it, I take you through 5 strategies that work so well together and that create synergy. From goal setting to prioritization to time blocking and using your schedule in the most efficient way. We'll cover all of this in the webinar. Plus, you'll also get my project plan template. That's the one that I use personally. Since I've started using this project plan, I've just become so much more focused because I know exactly what's the next thing that I need to do for my business. And so I highly recommend that you go and download that project plan. It will change everything for you. So get the free webinar. With it, you'll get a free project plan and just start implementing the techniques that I'm talking about together. And you'll go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling organized, literally. So thanks for joining me today. The link is in the show notes for the free webinar as well as the project plan. You'll get so much value out of it. I can't wait to get your feedback. Send me a DM on Instagram and let me know what you thought about it. Until then, you've got this, Boss Mama.